Griffin, welcome to Australia.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Is it your first time to our shores?
It's my second time. I was here when I was 14. I had a friend, a childhood friend, who moved out here, and I spent the holidays with him when I was trying to get away from my family. At the age where I had no interest in going on vacations with my family, I went and vacationed with a friend's family out here. But it's very different to be here as an adult, if I can call myself that. I don't know if I fully earned the title yet. And it's also very different when you don't have to fly coach. You know, it sets you back. From the moment you land, you're still trying to recover from that flight. So it's definitely been nicer this time, yeah.
You've been on the road talking about the tick for the last few weeks, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
You know, what does it mean? You know, we're almost the same age. We grew up kind of with the tick on our periphery, if not in our focal vision.
Yeah.
What are your memories of the tick growing up?
You know, I was the first of 3 children, and my mother was very, very overprotective, especially when it came to media consumption. So she would not let me watch almost anything that kids of my generation were watching.
So I'm guessing Simpsons, South Park.
But so much further than that. She thought Rugrats was too cynical,
No.
and anything with superheroes was too violent.
Don't get it started on Hey Arnold.
Right. I think that one was, you know, kind of everyday enough that she let it slide. That one was kind of melancholy, but it was cynical, sarcastic, or violent were the 3 big triggers for her. And I always had this sort of obsession with superhero culture from afar, probably because it was the forbidden fruit. You know, I really liked superheroes. I would draw superheroes all the time. When I would go over to friends' places for playdates, I wanted to play with their superhero action figures, especially because I couldn't really absorb their stories myself. And the Tick was always one of those ones that seemed so appealing from afar because it was clearly operating on this weird kind of slanted angle from the mainstream superhero stuff. So when I became a little bit older, when I was like 9 or 10 and I had a little more autonomy and could, you know, sneak TV shows past my mom or go to the comic book store by myself, I got really, really obsessively into superhero stuff. At an age when a lot of other kids were starting to grow out of it, I was like really starting to enter into it heavily. And that's when the Warburton show started on air. And there weren't live-action superhero TV shows then. There were barely live-action superhero movies. Like X-Men had come out the summer before, but that was really it. And so I was going to watch that show no matter what because it was a superhero show. But I remember seeing it, and it was like this sort of like homing beacon, you know, for like, wait, there's someone else out there who has the same sense of humor that I do? And I loved that show. I adored that show. And when it ended prematurely, I went back and watched as much of the cartoon as I could find in the VHS complete series DVD set era. But so I had been a big fan. You know, there were always rumors circulating that they were going to bring it back in some way. For 3 or 4 years, Ben was kind of quietly working on it at Amazon. You'd hear rumblings, but you weren't sure if it was ever actually going to happen. And I didn't know it was definitely happening until I suddenly got an email saying, hey, you have an audition for The Tick. And I said, to play what? The pizza guy? What role? And no, it's Arthur. And I went, what? And then I read the script and I went, geez, this is a lot of Arthur.
And that's the first thing that you notice watching those first 2 episodes is Arthur. It should be called Arthur and the Tick.
Sure. And you know, I mean, the first draft that I read, I believe the Tick didn't enter until page like 19. Like the first like 2/3 of the episode. They end up restructuring it because they were like, well, we gotta get some more Tick in there. So you get him a little earlier and have him disappear and then come back a little bit later. But it was exciting to see. I felt like it worked very well dramatically reading it. As a fan, I was really into it. But then it felt like, well, geez, now I have no chance of getting this. If the part is this big, you know, if it's this pivotal to the story, what's the chance they're going to hire some unknown schmo who's doing stand-up shows in basements in New York City, you know? But I think, I don't know. I can't tell you why they hired me. I did what I thought I wanted to see out of the character, and somehow, against all odds, that ended up being very similar to what Ben wanted to see someone do with the character.